Alright, so again, a quick recap. When we left off last time, the group had split up into two separate objectives. Irene was heading to go take care of some personal things, however, she got sidetracked and ended up pursuing something else while she was in the middle of that. And that occupied Irene for the good portion of the day. It is on into the late afternoon before she will potentially get freed up. So we're going to jump over to Charles and Barney. Tabris, I'm sorry, Kansas was feeling a little bit under the weather from his injuries that he sustained, so he kind of bailed at the last moment, decided to stay at the townhouse, get some rest, recover a little bit. And Charles and Barney are committed to going and investigating Gavigan's house. Yes, his severe ass beating that he got. So, go ahead and give me a rundown on. Oh, never mind, there he is. Just as you guys are about to leave the house, he finally decides that he's feeling better and that he'll try to man up and not be such a wuss. So give me your basic approach, the way that you're wanting to go about your research, your investigation. Who is Gavigan? Gavigan is the person who is running the Pinhue Foundation. He's kind of been in your crosshairs for quite some time. He was a name that was thrown out and tipped off to you by the notes and a few different things that were in um, being investigated or looked into in possession of Elias Jackson. Let me clear my throat here real quick. Yes, but you don't know that. Irene left and said she was going to take care of some personal stuff, and she ended up getting sidetracked, but she has not been in communication with you. So, in character, you have no idea where Irene is at. She went and went to her office, picked up your things that you had requested. She dropped them off to you, and then she left. For you guys, it is late morning. You had slept in and you had had breakfast, made your plans. Irene left to go look into those few things. She came back and she uh, left the items with you, and then she departed again. So I would say it's probably a noonish. All right, looks like Tabris is logging into Discord, and he should be here in Fantasy Grounds soon. Alright, so the first thing that you need to do if you're wanting to go investigate Gavigan's residence is to figure out where he lives.
Do they have the white pages back then?
There would be some listings as far as where people live. There's different ways that you could go about it. Some people's addresses may not be listed. Um, I don't know how extensive the white pages were in 1925 with telephones not being super common, at least in a residence type setting. But
And I don't know if tax records were public back then or not.
yeah, I
We could
mean,
ask Irene.
you would have different methods that you could use to try to find out where he lives. And instead of, you know, specifying exactly what you're doing, we can just kind of call it general research. And you can either uh, library use, even though you're not technically going to a library, you're still researching stuff, calling around, you know. So you can give me a library use roll if you are trying to go through public records, go through the phone book, whatever it might be.
I see my FBI training's paying off.
Yes, I would definitely say it is. And so, the three of you kind of work on, your own technique, your own method, making some phone calls, trying to find out where Gavigan's personal residence might be here within London. And Charles actually comes up with a lead, and he finds out that Gavigan has a flat that is situated on Grosvenor Street in the heart of Mayfair and fairly close to Hyde Park.
Bonnie, you think this is the same guy? Not a very common name.
Well, it's definitely the same guy. I mean, it's listed as Edward Gavigan. Um, Alright, looks like Taragnor's here. A fairly nice area of town. Um, let's look at the map here and see exactly where that might be located at. Go to our map of London. And so if we find Hyde Park on the map, Hyde Park is 34. So right over on the far west side of London. And that area, of course, having all those nice parks and everything else, you would know that it is an upscale area of town. Last time I heard from him when we were playing, he said that he had things going on. Didn't have a chance to join yet, so I've not heard anything about actually making up the character or anything like that. So I'm just kind of leaving it in his ballpark. I'm not going to harass or anything like that. I'm content with just moving on with the four that we have, unless I hear something otherwise. I mean, you can tell the Penhew Foundation. I think you were here for those sessions, but it's been a while. But Barney would know that the Penhew Foundation is definitely a wealthy person's type of thing. I mean, they're funding archaeological digs to Egypt, and just uh, the building of the Penhew Foundation itself is, just nice, with lots of fancy adornments and everything else. I mean, we're not talking about royal family kind of thing, but it is definitely a nice building and a upstanding organization. Kansas is just being a hater. He's jealous.
Thinking about changing your profession from lion tamer to cult leader? I mean, the groupies are probably better.
Okay, so again, it is a little bit afternoon. By the time you guys do your research, you got a late start in the morning to start with. Um, sleeping in, and Irene going to go do her stuff, and waiting on her to report back in on what she found out. So it is early afternoon when you guys get your lead and you find out where Gavigan's personal residence is. Yeah, if you look, 39 is Buckingham Palace. So I would say that's a nice neighborhood.
Maybe we should case out the place and see if he has a pattern or something.
Okay, so are you hopping in the car and driving over to Grosvenor Street?
I mean, it would probably be smart to have more information than rush in like we've been doing. Obviously, that ain't been working so great.
Okay, just want to clarify something real quick, Barney. So you do live here. I mean, your family lives here in London. You could very easily have a family car, uh, at your disposal. So would you have a car, or are you going to take taxis everywhere? Or is it just that you don't want to be spotted in the family car? I mean, it's 1925. I mean, there's quite a few cars around. It's not like it is nowadays, but it's definitely not few and far between. I mean, just look at all your gangster movies and the Roaring Twenties and all that stuff, and you always see all kinds of. And it's up to you. I just wanted to establish whether or not you had a car at your disposal or not, because you guys seem to be taking taxis and trains and stuff, everywhere that you're going. So I just was just wondering if there was a reason for that. I don't know when Rolls Royce first started coming into production. Okay, so anyway, you guys make your way over to Grosvenor Street. What is your approach going to be?
Are there any coffee houses or anything, or is it all residential?
Coffee house in London? What?
Tea shop. I mean, is there any way to get a good spot of tea?
Yes, yes, you could find yourself some pubs or some tea parlors. Go in and have tea with Mrs. Nesbit in her doilies.
Do some bird watching. My technology knowledge is, as far as that era, is pretty limited. I wonder if Irene has access to any bugs or any. Like, is that a thing?
No, I mean, radios themselves don't even exist except for in a massive, um, format. So something like a bug is definitely not going to be. I mean, think about how big your radios were back then. I mean, you had an entire cabinet that was a radio.
I was thinking more like a wiretap.
Oh, okay. Wanting to tap the. I mean, everything was switchboard operators back then. So, I mean, all you had to do was just, you know, plug into a switchboard, and yeah, I mean, you'd be able to listen in. Of course, you would need to have a warrant for that, most likely.
I don't know if Irene needs warrant. So, Irene, I don't know how much your connections go around here, but can we just listen in to what he's saying? I mean, not us, of course, but you.
Right, she's not here. She is
I know.
gone.
Okay, well, I'll tell the other guys that while we're in the park then. We ain't gonna hear much over here. You think we can get Irene to tap the line?
In the timeline of things, Irene, at this particular moment, this is probably about the time that you are um, arriving to your brother's factory and seeing the car and following it. This is early afternoon, and so when we left off, it was late afternoon, approaching into the evening for you in the bathroom. So again, we've kind of split the timelines here a little bit, and the other team will have to catch up to where you are in the chronological order of things. Yes, don't cross the streams. All right, so you guys pull up in front of the residence that you were led to. You can decide what you want to do after that point, but it was stated that you were going to the residence, so I'm going to give you that description. And then, if you decide not to stay there and want to leave and go someplace else, that is purely your prerogative. So, as you look out across the street from where Barney has parked his car, it appears that the address that Gavigan supposedly resides in is a flat that occupies two floors. There seems to be a hallway going into the front on the ground floor, and um, in the upstairs you can see several windows and everything. Of course, you don't know what the exact layout of the place is, but it does look like it's a fairly nice, from the exterior appearance, um, two-level flat. It sits in a row of terraced buildings, all residential in nature.
I mean, it seems like a lot of people are into cult activities. I don't know if they're all different cults or the same cult or whatnot, but geez. Young Cover One, it looks like they're just popping out of the woodwork.
Well, that's only because you're mingling in those circles. I mean, if you look at the percentage of the population of the whole, it's a very small percentage, but you're just hyper focused on that particular segment.
We should have focused on bikini girls instead.
Yeah, the Swedish bikini team. Although they'd probably go running and screaming from Charles as if he was Shoggoth himself.
Should have been a vampire. The worst part is I have no. It's gonna get worse when I get older. Hi,
There's
girls.
there's all kinds of activity around the area. I mean, it's the middle of the day. There's pedestrians, there's doormen, there's cars, going up and down the street. This is a nice neighborhood. Uh, People out walking their dogs, and you you guess probably from the look at it that some of the people might be nannies, that are um, caring for kids and walking them from one place to another. Not really so much of an apartment building, more of like a part of a larger think of it almost like a condo. So not really so much like an apartment, uh, but more of uh, a condo, that is own a house within a group of houses. It's actually two floors, though. Okay, so what do you guys want to do upon arrival? Are you gonna stay here, stake the place out a bit? Are you gonna try and break in? Are you going to leave? So I am going to back the clock up a little bit, but for Irene, remember that when we left off with you in the restrooms, it was 5 p.m. The flat sits in a row of terraced buildings that appear to all be residential. Sitting very closely together. Neighbors, doormen, passers-by, all within easy line of sight.
Things like places visited, purchases, sometimes phone numbers.
Okay, so you guys are just gonna sit here and kind of stake the place out all day long until you see him.
I want to grab some trash. I don't want to dig through it in the park, but I want to casually, like when we leave, grab some trash. Um,
Okay, give me a luck roll.
oh, my
See,
luck is so freaking low right now.
see if it's trash day. Yeah,
Not even close.
today's not trash day, and this is a really nice neighborhood, so they're not going to have trash cans just sitting out on the curb or anything like that.
Okay. Can I do some kind of investigation to find out when trash day is?
Sure. I mean, you could ask around a little bit, and
Yeah, I'll just ask somebody at a tea house.
when trash day is, okay. So give
I'll be like, hey, I'm supposed to help some people um, move in, and I was gonna do it on trash day, so we wouldn't have to pull the stuff so far. When is trash day?
give me a d6 roll. Looks like trash day is on Saturday.
Oh, great, thanks. That'll work out. That'll work out perfect. All right, go back to the group. Say, hey guys, trash day's on Saturday. Just heads up.
I want to make a note on the calendar here. Trash day for Mayfair. There you go. You have a little note on the calendar there.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I ain't so much a fan of digging through trash, but it's been worth it more times than not.
Okay, everyone else just hanging here, just keeping an eye on the place, or are you doing anything else? Can we fast forward? Give me a spot hidden roll with a uh, setback die. Okay, you cannot tell if there's any activity inside the house or not. You do not see any activity going in and out through the front door during the time frame that you're sitting here staking it out. The curtains are all closed, which is why you had your setback die. So you really don't know. Well, and it's in the middle of the day, so they're not really going to be turning on a bunch of lights or anything like that. Well, you failed miserably anyway, so it's not like it's really going to matter much.
Oh yeah, we're awesome.
Oh, okay, yeah, it was Barney who failed miserably. And Charles.
Yeah, I think Kansas still needs the penalty.
Kansas got a 65, and
Oh, nice.
his second one was actually better. So the 65 is what holds true. So Kansas, you do not see any kind of signs of activity within the house. You're fairly certain that it's not occupied, at least from what you can tell. Okay, you stake the place out, and you wait, and you wait, and you wait. Afternoon comes and goes. You're passing on into the late afternoon, early evening hours. People are coming home, kids are coming home from school, um, families are gathering, and there's still no sign of activity at this residence. We're going to say that it is about 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock now. I'm gonna fast forward here. Most people are getting off work and home by 5 o'clock. Are you going to continue to wait?
I mean, I say we see if Irene can tap that phone line and come back on trash day. I don't know what we're gonna learn just watching people go in and out, unless we see who he's with. I feel like we might already be on the police radar right now. I'm not sure about breaking into any more houses. I mean, not at least with trying less risky things first.
Okay, so it's 5 p.m. Are you going to continue to wait for his arrival? Or are you going to uh, call it quits for the day and head off back to the townhouse to uh, meet up with Irene or do something else? Okay, gonna wait a little bit longer. Very well. All right. So, um, everyone, give me a Constitution roll. Okay, Kansas and Charles are staying um, very astute and they're with it. They're keeping themselves occupied and uh, they're um, not having any problems. Being maintaining their attention. Barney,
Barney.
And we're the
however,
two that got completely wasted too, which is kind of ironic.
Barney, however, he's getting a little bit bored just sitting here, and not seeing anything, not doing anything. And Barney, what is distracting you? Go ahead and do you feel the urgency? Is your elderly bladder, wanting to burst? Hemorrhoids from sitting in the car all day long. How is your constitution failing you, Barney? It is a little on the cool side, it being winter in London. It's not anything like winter in New York. It's a bit warmer here than what it was in New York, but still chilly, wet, damp, and just kind of getting to you a little bit. Barney feels the need to warm up a little bit, to kind of move, stretch, to get the ache off of the old bones, and and he leaves the car and goes to a nearby uh, building. Down the street quite a ways, because remember, this is a residential area, so he would have had to have walked a couple blocks to um, to get to a tea house or someplace, where he could go in and warm up a little bit. All right, so while Barney is away, yes, could have been that as well. So while Barney is away, uh, we're going to say that it is, let's see, it was 5 o'clock. You guys opt to stay. We're going to call it 7 p.m. You see a car pull up. A man gets out. Kansas and Barney would both, oh, I'm sorry, Kansas would recognize him as being Gavigan because Kansas was there and had met him previously. He exits the car and walks up to the house, and the car drives off.
I'm gonna try to get the license plate on the car.
Okay. Give me a spot hidden roll with a bonus die. Very nice. So you have a good angle on the rear end of the car, and you recall the license plate number excellently. You jot it down in a little notepad that you have.
We'll get Irene to look that up later.
It's a fairly nice car. Um, and so, anyway, uh, he exits the car and he walks up to the front door of the building and enters in. Closes the door behind him. A few seconds later, you see some lights switch on inside the building.
So based on our past history, this is where we go break into his house and threaten him or something like that. He says jokingly to Kansas.
Kansas pats his trusty bullwhip.
Hey, you got your gun on you, by the way? He whispered. Oh, Charles pats his shoulder holster. She got me this nice 32. She didn't get you one?
Yeah, I believe that. I don't know. I was thinking that she came back and met up with you guys. Irene, you would know. Okay, so actually, Irene never came back. She left in the morning to go do her. So kind of just erase my previous statement about her coming back after her errand. Uh, I was mistaken about that. She never
No
came back.
worries.
She went and ran her errand, and then she went straight to do her personal things.
All right, I'll rephrase that. I feel kind of a little naked with.
So you can pull up your character sheets, and you can go to your inventory, and you can mark that 32 as not being equipped because you do not have them yet. Yeah, I couldn't remember whether or not you went back to the townhouse in between your things, but I actually vaguely now remember you saying something about hanging on to them, and because you were um, informed and highly suggested to you to make sure that the boys behaved if you were going to give them unlicensed, suppressed pistols. Okay, so Gavigan comes home. What do you do? All right. Well, we are going to freeze right there. Eventually, Barney does come back to the car, and you can update him on what you find out after he gets done warming up. And we are going to jump over to Irene. Okay, Irene, backing up the clock a little bit. It is 5 o'clock in the afternoon for Irene. The um, the public Egyptian display closed down at 4 o'clock, and the building itself. Let's get back to where I was here. The building itself, you would have known by looking at the signs on the door that the normal office hours are from 8:30 to 5:30, Monday through Friday. Okay. Fortunately, you did um, roll very well on your sneaking. While you're in there, um, you do hear some activity. There's a couple people who come in and out of the restroom. Um, a couple times, someone jiggles the door on the stall, and whenever they find it locked, they move to the one next to it, and they use that one instead. You notice that the traffic into the restroom seems to pick up. Uh, do you have a watch? If you don't have it written down, you don't have it. You better write that down. You might be walking around naked. Anyway, so you notice that the traffic in and out of the women's restroom seems to pick up somewhere between the time frame of a few minutes before and after 5:30, right around the same time that the office is closing up. Then the activity subsides, and there's no more. You do hear a little bit of a. Actually, give me a listen check. Okay, so you really don't hear much of anything, other than the fact that after a period of time, um, there's no more activity coming in and out of the restroom. You have a fairly good feeling that the building is probably vacant. Okay, so I'm going to fast forward the clock then. Okay, are you being stealthy or are you just moving nonchalantly, assuming that the place is empty? Okay, give me a stealth roll. You happy with leaving it hard? Okay. Alright. Irene feels that she's being pretty darn stealthy. She's creaks out or creeps out of the stall. She creeps out of the women's restroom, kind of peeks out of the door. She does not see any activity within the Pinhue Foundation. At least not within open sight. Now, if you're wanting to make a more discerning investigation as to whether or not there's any occupants in the building, then you would need to investigate a little more. But just peeking your head out of the door, being stealthy, You don't notice that there's anyone in the building. So what do you do next? Okay, let's jump over to that map, because I don't have it up right now. So, Pinhue Foundation. Okay, so place your token where you are. I'll give you another listen check. You do not hear any signs of occupation. Seems like the building is completely vacant. Okay. Making a mad dash for it, sneaking, moving slowly. Okay. You pass through. As you pass through the door, you notice that you're now in what seems to be some sort of a waiting room. There's a desk um, just to the right of the door as you pass through it. There's another door on the opposite wall. And off to the left are a bunch of chairs that or benches, that are lining the wall. It looks like places for people to sit who may be waiting here. Sure. It says Foundation President. Or actually, Director. Foundation Director, not President. Yeah, there's an appointment book. You look through the book and you see various different names of individuals. Um, no, there's nothing scheduled. In fact, um, you see a section of the appointment schedule that looks like it's crossed off just prior to that time. Nope, you don't see any names. It just simply says out of office. Give me a luck roll. You flip through the pages and you're flipping kind of hastily through them, just briefly glancing over each one of the names, seeing if there's anything that pops out at you, and there's nothing really that is just you know making a definite impression in your mind. Okay, you place your ear up to the door and you do not hear anything. Okay, continuing to move slowly and deliberately, you try the doorknob and it's locked. And on this door, it says Edward Gavigan. Okay, you are messing with the lock a little bit and it's giving you some trouble, but then just at the last moment, just right before you were about to give up, it clicks and the knob turns and you have successfully gained entrance. Yeah, there's just a standard uh, twist, type of lock mechanism on the inside. It is very dim in here, by the way. Now, there's just faint streams of light coming in. Um, do you have a flashlight? Yes. Same thing with the pocket watch, too. Anyway, so yes, you there was a little bit of light in that hall in the main hallway because some light was coming in through the front doors, just enough to give you a little bit of illumination. Um, in the room in the lobby, the waiting area lobby there, it would have been completely dark. So you would have need to have switched on a light on a desk or something like that. There was an overhead. There was a light switch that turned on overhead lights, assuming that you would have had to have turned those on in order to search through the desk and to unlock the door and all that stuff. Do you shut those back off again once you get through the door? Okay. Then once you pass through into this other office or this other space, it seems like this is an office. You see a desk, you see some chairs. There are three windows on the um, eastern wall. If you turn on a light in here, it's going to illuminate and shine through the windows. You do get just a little bit of light coming in through the windows, but it's very minimal because it is getting rather late. Give me another luck roll. We'll see if there's just a little small desk lamp. There's no desk lamp. There's just the main overhead lights. Now let me give you a description of the room here, what you can see. So, backing up and just giving you basic description of everything, the Penhew Foundation is in central London on Tottenham Court Road, near the intersection of Morwell and Bailey Streets, north of Oxford and west of the British Museum. It is a high Victorian building of fewer stories and greater ceiling height than the buildings to either side, though altogether grander in scale. Um, I think I already told you that the adornments inside are opulent. Uh, 2 stories. There was the Egyptian collection on the second floor. Okay, now Gavigan's office. The office is magnificent wood paneling. Um, and give me a spot hidden roll. Okay, you spot a safe, fairly modern looking safe that's built into the floor in a corner of the room. The office is fairly clear of clutter. The desk is free of paperwork. There is a row of doors, looks like 3 doors along the north wall. The rest of the wood paneled walls are bare, except for a couple of large oil paintings. One is of the Egyptian pyramids, and the other is a view of the Nile. Okay, so you're trying to break into it. Okay, give me a lockpicking roll. Okay, you are able to open up the safe. Inside, it contains a packet of white 1 pound notes, all with Gavigan's handwritten signature on the reverse. It's money. Um, when it's 1 pound notes, so it's a bill, basically. They're like, it's not like circulated money. It's a it's a monetary note, like a check. Yes, each one of them 1 pound each. As you thumb through them, you see that there's a total of about 100 of them. So 100 pounds, which would be the equivalent of about $500. There's a stamp on them that seem as if they've been uh, drawn by Gavigan from a London bank. You also find a photograph. Oh, actually, um, that's not in the safe. No, in the safe is just strictly some money, and that's it. You could basically just take them to the bank and cash them. Daggone it. That is pissing me off. I don't know why that happens. Yep. Everything closed down. Just sitting there doing nothing. Should be up for you guys to reconnect to.
Yep.
Alright. Okay, looks like everyone is back connected again. So yes, essentially they're monetary notes where you'd be able to take them to the bank, cash them, and get money. Of course, you don't know why he has such a small monetary value, so many different notes. So what are you going to do when you discover this money? Okay. And give me a spot hidden roll. And give me an intuition roll. Yep. Okay. At a hard success, Irene has seen this kind of thing before. The safe was actually kind of unusually easy for you to break into. It was very simple for you to gain access to this safe, and with it being a nice modern safe like it is, you would have thought that it would have been harder to get into. And as I said, Irene has kind of come across these kind of things before. With it being so easy to spot and so easy to break into, that it almost seems like it was there on purpose. So, other things that you see in the room, there's a photograph on his desk. It's in a silver frame. If you wish to look at it closer, then I'll give you further details about it. There's the desk itself. And yes, as far as the northern wall, there were 3 doors. Looked like closet doors or something of that nature. There were pictures, some oil paintings on the walls. So what out of those things are you wanting to take a closer look at? Okay, are you just kind of tilting them out, or are you actually going to take them off the wall? They're pretty big. Okay. You can, however, just kind of tilt them a little bit, pull them away from the wall a little bit. Um, and you never did turn the light on here, right? Okay. It's very dark and shadowy. You can't really discern very much at all. Yeah, you can reach in and feel. Give me spot hidden, I guess, just by using touch instead of your eyes. You kind of feel along the wall, and you just feel the ridges of the paneling and everything. You don't really feel anything that seems like it would be a hidden compartment or anything like that. With your hard success, you can feel the ridges in the paneling, and you can definitely tell for sure that there are no hidden compartments. Behind the painting. Alright, let me pull the image back up again here since it closed. Alright, so you're going up and checking out the doors. So you open up the door and it reveals what looks to be like a closet. And inside the closet, there just hangs some, a couple suits. There's some shoes sitting on the floor. You'd have to do a more thorough investigation of the closet. So you want to step in and start feeling the walls and everything else. Okay, give me another spot hidden roll. You do not find anything that seems like it would lead into any kind of a secret compartment or a wall safe or anything like that. Okay, you open up that one, and it too seems like just a closet. This one doesn't have anything hanging in it. It's just bare. Okay, go ahead and search it. Irene searches through this closet as well, and she does not seem to notice anything special about it, other than the fact that it's a closet. Alright, you open up that one, and this also, again, seems like just a plain closet. In this one, you find a few things stacked up in the corners of the closet. Looks like rolls of something. You know, you'd have to take them out and unroll them in order to see what they are. It's fairly big. I mean, you can just kind of unroll just the corner of it and see if you can tell, or you can take it out onto the main floor, into the main room, and you can spread it out over the floor and unroll it. Looks like some sort of maps. You'd have to unroll a fair amount of it. No, not any streets. It definitely looks like it's more of a rural type of a area. In fact, it almost looks a little bit more like a large scale map. Yeah, some roads, not a lot. You notice some words like Giza, Sphinx, um, Cairo, Nile. No, it doesn't really seem to be packed at all. Just, has a couple suits hanging up in it, hanging on a clothes bar. The main room is a hardwood floor. Actually, I'd say that it's a stone floor, but it does have like an Egyptian rug on the floor. Hey, you kind of lift up the edges of the rug and you look underneath and you don't really notice anything. Nothing really stands out. Okay, you've spent a fair amount of time rummaging through the room here. I'm going to fast forward the clock a bit. And it is now definitely dark in the room. I mean, you're only really able to make out shadows and really obvious things at this particular time. And you're going to have to come up with some sort of illumination if you're going to see anything with any kind of detail. I said that it's very dark, that enough time has elapsed where you don't have very much sunlight coming in through the windows. And so to make out any kind of detail on anything at all is going to need some sort of illumination. You do not spot any kind of safes or anything unusual underneath the rug. Okay. All right, give me a your choice, either an idea roll to make a mental note of how you put them back and in the same way that you found them, or a dexterity roll if you're wanting to make it more of a physical related task. to make sure each little tidbit is okay. You put everything back the way that you found it. You are almost positive that with your training and attention to detail and everything else that you're used to rummaging through things and putting them back and in the way that you found them so as not to rise, you know, cause any kind of alarm or raise suspicions. Alright, is there anything else that you wish to investigate while you're here? As I said, there's the desk and there's a photograph sitting on the desk. However, it is very dark in the room, and you're not going to be able to make out any details without light. Yes, I will say that they do. Have little pull chain lights inside them. Okay, the photograph that sits on the desk in a silver frame is a small photograph of an imposing 3-story country mansion. Yes, it's a British style country mansion of sorts. In order to look at the back, you're going to have to take it out of the frame. Is that what you're going to do? Nope, you don't have to break it. You can just simply slip it out of the frame. There's nothing written on the back. However, as you take it out of the frame, you can see the edges of the picture better now, and you can see that there's a name. It says Miser House in tiny letters at the bottom right. Give me a idea roll. Irene racks her brain trying to figure out if that name sounds familiar, and she doesn't recall that name. Okay. As you rack your brain a little bit more, a few things kind of stick out a little bit now. The name itself isn't really so much what is coming to mind, it's more the details of the picture itself. As you sit there, you stare at the picture and you kind of are running it over in your brain, trying to figure out if this miser house sounds familiar or not. You notice that the background of the mansion seems like the landscape around it is very similar or reminiscent of the islands in the wilds of Essex. Give me a. Do you have any knowledge of Arabic, Egyptian language, or anything like that? Okay. Um, I'll give you one other tidbit of information. Um, as far as Essex is concerned, um, it is an area that lies outside of London. Let me pull up my map here again. Need to find my map. There it is. Nope, that's the wrong one. Well, I know that I had the damn map here. Aha, there it is. Okay. So there's an area to the east of London that is basically the river delta, and it's a very swampy kind of land, and it is referred to uh, colloquially as the Naze. Naze. And so that is the landscape that you notice in the picture. Kind of really resembles this marshy, uh, swampy kind of ground that, even though it's marshy and swampy, and you would think, hey, this is like sucky land, it's actually uh, a place where some people have uh, some large estates and stuff. Yeah, it's a region. It's just kind of like a local name for uh, for a particular region that is outside of London. Kind of this swampy land. Now, in general, it's swampy, but there are islands within the Naze that are solid ground and perfectly fine for building on. But it's kind of a secluded area that some people, you know, have these, estates and everything that are kind of secluded and out of the way, and uh, it's not really what you it at one point in the past it may have been like a not a resort, but a tourist attraction. People used to come out here at points in the past. Um, there's beaches and stuff out here in this area that you can actually use. That's not just sheer cliffs and things of that nature. And so, um, this general area out here used to be used as like a recreation area, I guess I should say. But anyway, so that's something that you discern from the photograph. Any additional information that you would want to get off of the specific name Miser House would re- need to require additional research. It's not something that you're just going to know about just offhand. Okay? And anything else that you're going to look into while you're here in the office? The desk. You find the drawers locked. However, it does seem like there's just a singular lock that kind of locks all the drawers, not multiple locks to each drawer. You have no light, so it's going to be a setback die. Irene fiddles with the lock a little bit, and she knows that it being dark here in the room is going to hinder her capabilities. She fiddles with it a little bit, but then she gives up after a while, knowing that she's not going to get it under the current circumstances. Is there anything else that you're wanting to do here in the office? Okay. Then in that case, you're going to leave the way you came in. Yeah, you checked behind the paintings, you checked under the rug. Of course, you've also rolled fairly miserably. Yeah, if you pushed it, you would either a couple different things could happen. You could leave traces of your presence, that someone had been here and was trying to get into stuff, um, or perhaps making a bunch of noise and creating, um, not being as stealthy as what you had hoped that you would be. Okay, you go to leave, trying to make sure that you leave everything the way that you had it. So in order to lock the door back after you depart, you're going to need to use your lockpicks to lock the door back. Now, of course, it's completely dark in here. You do have the desk lamp. You have the overhead lights that you can turn on. Okay, give me a listen roll. Okay, you turn on the light. Now you've already managed to successfully pick this once before, so I'll give you a bonus die. Okay, you managed to lock it back into place the way it was whenever you came in here. You flip off the light, you open the door, and you exit out into the hallway. After having listened and not heard any noises in the hallway. Now give me a luck roll. Okay, the hallway is empty. There is not very much light left in the hallway like it was before. It is very, very dark. All you can make out is just shadows. Okay, we're gonna head to the front door. You're not going to explore any of the other rooms that are in here. There's all kinds of doors along the hallway here. And there's even a door out the back also. You're going to go out the front door though. Okay, when you say the doors on the left, you're talking about these doors. Okay, we'll get back to that. They do have some labels on them. Let's see what the labels say. The labels say that those doors the one right across the hall from you says library. Which way you going? You going north or you going south? Okay, that one says library. On the on the left side of the hallway, it says staff. And on the right side, it says storage. Well, considering that you couldn't see that as you traveled north, Are you going to then turn around and go all the way south again and just bypass all those rooms? Okay, you head back down the hallway again, and that one says nothing. Actually, we'll say it does say something. It says let's see. What would be a good archaeologic term? Um, Records of no, let's see. It would say Office of Excavations. I'm sure that sounds official enough. Alright, so you're leaving now at this point? Okay, give me another luck roll since you've tarried a bit. Okay, we'll come back to that. Okay, it is, after you search through everything, spent some time rummaging through stuff, we're gonna call it 8:30. Okay, so that's where we're leaving off with Irene. Let's jump back over to the other group. Charles, Barney, Kansas. You guys are all staked out at Gavigan's place, roughly around, what time did I say? Around 7 o'clock. You saw him come home, went into his house, flipped on some lights. What do you guys do?
Well, we got the license plate. That's something. Could just be his driver, but maybe it's some kind of a accomplice. I say we come back on Saturday, grab his trash, and see if Irene can tap that phone line. You guys got any better ideas? Where'd Barney go off to?
Yeah, Barney's back. He got his joints loosened up a little bit, and he returned back to the car.
What about you, Barney? You want to stick around, or what?
The hours of the Blue Pyramid, they were, I think, like 9 to 1, maybe 6 to 1. Can't remember. Let me look here again.
I mean, his car just left, but I guess someone else could come and pick him up.
Oh, come on. Crap, it's so hard to find here. Man, it's getting late. Oh, there we go. I hadn't gone far enough in the book. Okay, so the Blue Pyramid, they open at 6. 6 to 1. Cutthroat Club.
Yeah, maybe we should tell the inspector about that kill room, or maybe we should be watching that place too. All right, great. So I guess we'll head back to the house. We'll meet up with Irene, see if she found anything good. See if we can spy on the good people of England. Uncover a cult. Report a death room. Sounds like a good night.
Alright, Barney starts up the car, heads back. The drive is fairly uneventful, and you guys are very hungry, having staked out this place all day long, not really had a whole lot to eat. There wasn't really a whole lot of eateries around this area to go to and also be able to keep an eye on the house. So you're fairly ravenous whenever you get back. Now let's go back over to.
Gee, are you talking at all?
I am. Yes. Can you not hear me? Can you hear me, Brice? How about now? Can you hear me?
Test.
Yep, I can hear you.
I gotcha.
Okay, so anyway, you guys leave the flat after a long day of uh, unsuccessful staking out of the place. You're hungry. You've not had anything to eat. You're tired. It's just been a boring, fruitless day, and you feel like you've just kind of wasted your time. You head back to Barney's townhouse, kick back, relax a little bit, and you wait for Irene. She has not returned yet. And you're starting to kind of get concerned. Uh, maybe a little bit. Maybe not so much Barney. Barney might not care. And so we're going to jump back over to. We're going to jump back over to Irene. Irene, as you're heading towards the front door, you hear a sound behind you. It sounds like the back door is opening up. And as it does, the lights flick on. You kind of were making your way down to the front door when you hear the back door open up and the lights flick on, like within a second after the door opening up. So you have minimal time to react, but yes, I do want a dex check for your reflexes to see if you can dodge into some cover. Now, you remember how miserably you rolled on your listen check? Okay, Irene manages to duck back out of the way. She dodges behind the wall. And you hear some individuals come in the back door. You can hear voices talking. So come on, guys. Let's get the shipment loaded up in the truck. Give me a listen check. Yes, you have been. Okay, Irene fails to hear in time. But someone is approaching behind her. Coming down the stairs. And she hears a voice. It says, "Hey, you, what are you doing there?" Yeah, it looks like a security guard. He has a club, has a belt with a flashlight and a club on his belt. How long you been here? How'd you get in? He pauses for a second, believing your story. He says, okay. You have your badge on you? She's not too bad at it at 62%.
She keeps rolling poorly.
What department are you working in? The guard is right here. He's was coming down the stairs from the upper floor. All right. He seems to take a little pity on the innocent-looking, pretty girl who is all distraught and worried. Why would they care if you're working late? You hear a voice yell from down the hall. Hey, Joseph! Hurry up! We're tired of waiting. He moves around you to where he's kind of in the hallway. He's kind of like looking over at you, and then he like looks back down the hallway again. He kind of is glancing over at you, and he motions down the hall, and he says, Okay, hold on. I have something I have to take care of first." And then the other guy down the hallway, he says, "Don't take too long. We need to get the shipment back to the warehouse." He steps back around the corner with you again, and then he says, Okay, I won't tell anyone, just stay out of the way, and you have the key for the front door, right?" "Well, I can't let you out, and these guys will see you. And then it won't be a secret anymore." All right. Just go into the bathroom then. I'll come and let you know when everything's done. And then he starts walking down the hall. Are you going to go hide in the bathroom? Alright. You could hear him talking to the guys down at the end of the hallway as you make your way over to the bathroom. Are you going to stay in the bathroom for the whole time until he comes back and gets you? Or are you going to try to sneak out on your own? Okay. Good 15 minutes passes, and then you hear a rap on the door. It says, "Lady. Hey, new girl. Okay, the coast is clear. You can leave now." He opens up the front door. You leave. He locks the door behind you. And you leave the facility. Is there anything else that you're going to do as you're leaving? Alright, so you head back to Barney's townhouse after a harrowing end of the night. And yes, you did pass up on an opportunity, but you played it safe and got away without being spotted or anyone being any the wiser. So you think. So once you get back to the townhouse, you guys converse. You share information that you've gathered over the course of the day. And I'm going to let you guys wrap up that scene with roleplay and sharing information, deciding whether or not you want to hand over certain items that have been acquired. And then we'll wrap up the session once you guys head to bed and rest for the evening. Barney has food prepared, and Irene is also ravenous, for she has not had a chance to eat for the majority of the day. Now, flashlights are going to be a little bit more bulky. It's not going to be the size of a pin. You don't have high capacity, small size batteries. Uh,
So Irene, that organization that you work for, can you run down like license plates and possibly do a phone tap?
so here is collection of 1920s up to 1950s. Never mind. So basically, a 1920s flashlight is going to look like um, it's going to be a full-sized handheld flashlight. You know, it's going to be about the size of a small mag light.
Well, that's nice. Maybe you're not such a bad spy after all. Did you have to slapjack anybody? Yeah, don't be too hard on Kansas. Is Alonzo still around?
Uh, Alonzo is locked up in his room. Or at least, as far as you know, he is. He was there when you left this morning. You haven't seen him upon coming back. You just assume that he was still up in his room. Kansas, give me a what's your foreign languages?
So where are these headquarters at?
Only ancient Egyptian. Okay. Never mind then. Like basically just recognizing like, hey, that guy is talking in Spanish, or what? How exactly does that work? Okay. Just her saying the word probably wouldn't warrant recognizing it because um, that word can also be an English word as well. If she's just pronouncing it.
Is that French or something?
Kansas at that point would recognize that it's Arabic.
مصر مصر
So about that wiretap.
And he would also inform her at that point that it's not pronounced as miser but miser. Now that he knows how it's spelled. Give me an education roll, Kansas. With your bonus die from your... You don't need a bonus die. Okay, so because of its meaning, you actually do know what that word is. That is the Arabic word for Egypt, Misr.
Oh, that's nice. That makes me feel better already. Thank you for that.
Now he feels complete.
You complete me. Yeah, it's not like we do anything stupid. Again. So, can you do that wire tap or what? Phone tap. I was thinking maybe you could tap the Meister house or however you say it. Like a 24/7 kind of thing. I don't know how deep your connections go, but maybe we wait for the new moon and we just drop a bomb on the place.
I'm not sure if a phone would be out that rural or not. Although you don't really need a lot of electricity. I mean, you've got um, that's why you have the crank up generators on the phones. But you would actually need your phone wire, which is where you'd be running into trouble. And so I would say that there's probably not any phones out to that location, it being where it's at.
As far as the firearms go, not many people like to actually get into firearm fight. I'm just glad I'm halfway good at them. Barney, I can't remember. Did you look into that mask?
Alright, and so I think that pretty much leaves it at a good spot to call it quits. You guys have discussed what you've discovered, some side information, and you have some tasks to try to address and take care of in the future. And so let's call it quits. I'm going to stop the stream.